The establishment isn't just losing influence, it's becoming politically endangered. Tomorrow is the big day. Ken Paxton faces off against John Cornyn. What are the markets saying? What is the expectation for the result tomorrow? And what does it all really mean? I'm going to break it down because it's not just about numbers. It's about something much bigger. So as we all know, tomorrow is the big day in Texas. May the 26th, Ken Paxton and John Cornyn will face off in the primary. Now, I can show you what the markets are doing. Let's take a quick look, but let's look at an article really quickly first. Kalshi puts Paxton odds in Texas GOP primary at 95%. So let's take a quick look at that article. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has a greater than 95% chance of defeating incumbent Senator John Cornyn in the Lone Star State's Senate runoff, GOP runoff, according to prediction market Kalshi. As of Sunday afternoon, Paxton had a 95.6% chance of winning the runoff, which will be decided on Tuesday after a bitter campaign between the firebrand Attorney General and the four-term 24 years this dude has been sitting in Congress. There is, I'm sure, a deep imprint in the chair, and that needs to change because he has been nothing but a big giant rhino obstructionist, George Bush era, establishment character. Cornyn, meanwhile, has just a 4.4% chance of winning the nomination and the right to take on Democratic nominee state Rep. James Tallarico. For any of you who have not had the experience of looking at James Tallarico, he is your very typical progressive, apologizes for his whiteness, his maleness, his straightness, everything that you can possibly imagine that he could apologize for because it's apparently shameful is who this guy is. The argument has been that, you have to elect the incumbent because, the GOP needs to support the incumbent because, a new guy, he's not going to have enough to beat Tallarico. It's too much of a risk to put Ken Paxton up against Tallarico. Now, the majority of Texas is red. It's got a bit of a problem. It's actually very similar to Tennessee. We are edging on purple in many parts of Tennessee. And then I believe the major metropolitan urban areas in Texas are the same. And Austin is blue. It's less blue than it was. It's almost like a bluey, like a purpley blue, but it's still blue. But here is what the Kalshi markets are saying. And you can see right here, they've got it actually higher now. Polymarket has it at 96.3. These one-offs, Don Buckingham, Beth Van Dwayne, I don't even know who that is. So over 96%. Yeah. Kalshi markets. It's the same, 96.2. So I think that is practically a foregone conclusion. Of course, we have to take into account there could be shenanigans because we are talking about establishment. But, we need to dig a little deeper. What does this really mean? Because it's just basic general information that they're giving you here. We all know now that Ken Paxton has the upper hand in the primary. That doesn't tell you what you really need to know. Here's what this really actually all means. What it really means, basically, the old GOP guard is getting systematically dismantled, at least at the national level. And then I think what will happen is there'll be a ripple effect, I hope, down to the state level, one would hope. But Trump's veto power, this is what this means. Number one, Trump's veto power is absolute. Even a Senate majority leader like John Thune couldn't save his friend, his ally, once Trump picked a side. It was done. Thune does not have the same amount of power as Trump. He's learning this in real time. Incumbency, leadership, titles, effectiveness are now liabilities, not shields. It's not something that will protect you and insulate you and your seat. Number two, the base has finished negotiating. Primaries are no longer about rewarding deal makers or institutional players, guys like Thune. They reward fighters and loyalty. So it really depends on what side of the president that you're on and how he perceives you. Cornyn's long Washington resume just became a target list. So anybody that affiliates with Thune or gets cushy with Thune or the NRSC, I'm really hoping that this will be helpful to the president so he'll see these are the people that need to go. This is a warning shot to every establishment Republican: Thune, Murkowski, Collins, Tillis, any senator still clinging to bipartisanship. Now, you got somebody like Collins. The only reason she's a Republican that can get elected in Maine is because she's not really conservative. So I know we need the numbers, but still, we can't have someone like that sitting with an R after her name in our Senate. Senate norms just watch their future get previewed, or are going to watch their future get previewed, because Trump already endorsed. So there's the past tense, but with the primary tomorrow, their future is going to be previewed in Texas, and they're going to learn you adapt or you get primaried. And I mean, we desperately need them to get this message. Purity is beating pragmatism. This whole idea of, well, it's the safe choice. It's the safe choice. That doesn't fly anymore, because incumbency now, unfortunately, the 37 people that swept those primaries, or at least didn't lose, they have a runoff that President Trump endorsed. Unfortunately, all but 2 are incumbents. I really hate that because what if you are a Paxton who is trying to face off against the rhino, and you really need that person to be in that seat. But you've got to look at the president's perspective. He knows Ken Paxton is loyal to him, and he's willing to bet the farm on that loyalty and put his name behind him. The party's choosing confrontation and ideological signaling over governing caution. Texas is deep red, which some people, I hate that phrase, deep red. But if you were to look at statistics, you could say that. You could say that about Tennessee too. But on paper, at least, Texas is red. So this isn't about winning. It's about who controls the soul of the party. And again, I'm going to compare it to Tennessee. It's the same thing here. We are deep red. But we have a lot of people who will slap President Trump's face on a flyer and purport to be pro-Trump or be populist, and in reality, they just govern like rhinos. But Ken Paxton, I believe, is the obvious exception to that. And I think he's proven that himself. And finally, the real story isn't just one seat. It's not just one seat. It's the accelerating hostile takeover of the post-Bush GOP. The establishment isn't just losing influence. It's becoming politically endangered. You're losing guys like, for example, let's look at Turtleneck in Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, who won the primary to replace him. It wasn't McConnell's pick. It was vastly Trump's pick. He won by 64% to 30-something%. So that's another indicator right there. I think he was the one other. It was Paxton and Barr. They were the 2 challengers. But then I guess, again, and there was only just challengers in that McConnell race. But anyway, the one that President Trump supported versus the one Mitch McConnell supported is the one that won the primary. So this is sending a message to every establishment Republican moving forward, the amount of influence that the president has and that he's not afraid to use it. It really is showing them that they better fall in line, they better get on the same page, or they could find themselves getting primaried by the president's pick, which would be awesome, especially considering he did endorse so many incumbents. I would love to see him endorse a whole list of grassroots populist conservatives. Really do his homework. Don't just take people's word for it that that's the right guy. We had that happen here, where the president was informed intentionally, I believe, incorrectly. Who the grassroots was standing behind was really the establishment candidate. So we'll see. But I just wanted to sort of get into that with you and let you know what this really means. This obviously isn't just about numbers because it's just one seat. But what this is it's a shot across the bow to every establishment Republican that is sitting in Congress or sitting in the Senate. You better be careful what side of the president you land on, because you could land on the ground. This is Kelly Jackson. I am still not canceled. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will be back soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.